Back on Newsmaker Saturday, and we're going to be talking about immigration, legal and otherwise, with Nick Suriel, who is an immigration attorney. You've been doing this for how long? Great to see you, by the way.
Thank you, John. 27 years.
27 years. Your family immigrated here from?
Dominican Republic.
And it took you how long to become a citizen?
About 15 years.
So it's personal for you. You know this journey. You've done it. You've traveled it.
Absolutely.
Tell me what is happening on our southern border and what you're seeing, because it used to be single men, primarily from Mexico. Now we're seeing family units from Central America. Has it changed what you do, Nick?
Significantly, because there are people that are being held right now in Mexico from Guatemala, Salvador, et cetera. And so the Ninth Circuit is involved. It's just gotten too legalistic. You know, if you have a good, credible claim, then let's process it, right? Right now, I think...
You're talking about a claim of asylum.
If you have a well-founded fear... Yeah.
Let's take a look at let's take a look at tape number one. When people see these visuals, I think a lot of Americans get really agitated. They welcome the immigrant experience. They welcome you and your family, for instance. They welcome their neighbors. But when they see what they perceive as lawlessness, it really upsets them.
I get it. I have a neighbor, he is very agitated. He blames liberals for everything, and I listen to Gene. And Gene and I, he loves my kids, I love Gene, and I get it. I get the agitation. Mm-hmm. It is scary, and that's why I think that the only antidote to this is just let's talk. And what I try and do every day with employers, I just got off the phone with a client from Canada. You know, she's a highly skilled individual, just like what the president wants us to have. And so I explained to her all the things we have to do. So really that's...
How many people are willing, give me a percentage, are willing to go through that process? Or how many just say, you know what, I'm here, I'm starting to work, I'm getting money. You told me earlier that the pay for a Central American here in America is 10 times what they would make in Central America.
At least. Yes.
So how many get here and say, you know what, I'm not going through the process, I'm just going to wing it?
John, the people that I see 100% want to go through a process. In fact, what I would tell you...
They want to become Americans.
They want to.
Not just citizens. There's a difference.
That's right.
They want to become Americans.
There is a big difference, and I cajole a lot of my clients how I get them green cards, which are residencies, and they don't want to learn English. And I say to them, why are you going to accept second-class citizenship or second-class status? Learn the English, become citizens, become voting members. Stop the complaining. The problem is that people bring these ideas from where they're from, and I go, well, you left where you're from. You're now here, and we have law that actually works. This is the law. This is the immigration code, and so this is what needs to happen. And I do believe, because that's who I see, people who want to go through a process. They want to become regularized.
Let me play number three here. This is President Trump earlier this week, I believe it was Thursday, unveiling a plan that's pretty bold. And I was surprised at your take on it. You were not averse to what he had to say. Take a listen, President Trump.
Our plan includes a sweeping modernization of our dysfunctional legal immigration process. It is totally dysfunctional.
Do you agree with that? Is it totally dysfunctional?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I mean, you're working within the system.
Yes.
It's dysfunctional.
Yeah, and I brought the 6 broad principles, and quite honestly, I agree with all of them.
That the president unveiled.
Yeah.
Why are Democrats resisting it?
Because politics is a blood sport now, John. And so that's what I try and do every day, is to say, we don't need to hate each other. We can disagree about this issue, but we need to resolve it.
Let's talk about whether we should fear this group of folks coming in from Central America. Do you think, in your heart of hearts, we will look back 30 years from now and say, that was a blessing? We got workers, we got families who have assimilated. In other words, you know, to a great degree, America is the envy of the world because people want to come here and work. There's a lot of European countries who have a shortage of workers now. We've got more people retiring. There's nobody to support that. We have this influx of able-bodied people who want to come here and work. Do you believe we'll look at this in 30 years and say, you know what, on balance, that was a good thing?
Yes.
Wow, you just flat out yes.
No equivocation. What we have, and I look at my neighborhood, my wife and I are the only ones with 2 kids. You know, we, as you say, we are the envy of the world. And so what we have to realize is that whether you're talking about construction, home health care, hospitality, there are specific needs, and they are highly skilled, low skilled, middle skilled, whatever you want to do. But if you talk to people who know economics, who can talk to you about realities, yes, we will look back and say, what were we so worked up about?
Okay, as a businessman, President Trump should know this very well. He's been working with these folks for years in the hotel business.
He sure has. I mean, he's gotten H-2B visas, he's gotten H-1B visas, L visas.
He may be uniquely positioned to understand some of the economic parts of this.
I believe he is, and I think that the principles that his Mr. Kushner, because what they were looking for are what are the things that we can agree upon. And so I disagree with this notion that we have to begin the fight already. Why not say, look, I agree. These are principles that we can work from, okay?
Do you believe borders, because you're dealing with people probably who have overstayed visas, I'm guessing, is the biggest number, right?
That's right. I brought
so
a case
it's
right
not,
here.
they did not cross the desert and pass through an unsecured part of our border.
That's right. I've got a case on Monday. I brought it right here. She entered on a visitor visa. She
overstayed.
She filed for political asylum the right way.
Central America?
Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Let
me play you President Trump. This is tape number 4. This is again from the Rose Garden when he's unveiling what many have described as a political document, really, because there doesn't appear to be any chance this year of passage. But he's kind of laid down the marker. We've got to address this problem. Take a listen.
Currently, 66% of legal immigrants come here on the basis of random chance. They're admitted solely because they have a relative in the United States, and it doesn't really matter who that relative is. Another 21% of immigrants are issued either by random lottery or because they're fortunate enough to be selected for humanitarian relief. Random selection is contrary to American values and blocks out many qualified potential immigrants from around the world who have much to contribute.
Is he right?
He is.
Wow.
He
okay.
is. The diversity lottery visa makes no sense to me. There are lots of things. Right now we have, from Philippines, we have a 25-year wait if you have a U.S. citizen brother who sponsors you.
25-year wait.
25-year wait. Mexico has the next 6 slots.
How many, we've had a lot of numbers bandied about. How many people don't show up for their court hearings? You're right in the middle of this. Now, you've got kind of a little different situation because you've got people, I'm sure, going to you who desperately want to achieve this. So you might have a higher rate, but what's your sense of the percentage of how many people will actually see it all the way through?
It used to be a high number. It used to be about 44% of people don't show up to their initial court hearing after they were paroled in or whether they passed the credible fear interview. The Department of Homeland Security, ICE, just kudos to them. They're doing an amazing job. They're really monitoring. In fact, they're monitoring to a point where I'm really surprised that they have that kind of manpower. So from start to finish, is that what your question is?
Yes, start to finish, what percentage do you think see it all the way through?
The majority, because, I mean, at least people that I see, okay?
Right.
Because think about it.
Because we hear that only 10% actually show up for their court appearance. You've heard that number.
Yeah, that number, it may be specific to maybe a place like New York City or some place where, you know, people can just hide, you know, quite easily. But here in Phoenix, Arizona.
How long does it take? If somebody comes here from Central America, they've got to prove this credible fear, right? That's a key. That's a linchpin.
That's right. They have to pass, they have an interview with an asylum officer. They then, if they're detained, they have to pay a bond. Then they get referred to an immigration judge. Listen, we used to wait 7, 8 years for hearings here in Phoenix, all right? So really a lot of it depends with the system, all right?
How long now?
Now we're about 2.5, 3 years.
So even with this influx, the wait has gone down? That seems counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Well, here's the reality. The vast majority of people that are claiming political asylum,
They're here for work.
they're here for work.
You can't blame them. They want a better life. I totally get it. And again, I think it's the lawlessness that people object to.
Right, but as you've pointed out, we're seeing a demographic shift. Now we're seeing families, we're seeing people turning themselves in to Border Patrol and saying, I'm seeking political asylum, all right? So no longer is it...
Have they been coached?
Probably, yeah.
You're seeing that.
Yeah, I don't see it, but I would assume.
We've got about 30 seconds left. Nick, where do you think we're going with this? Do you think we're going to eventually get some movement on this issue?
Look, Senator Graham worked with Senator Schumer. I brought copies of things that go back to 2007, 2013.
But none of the stuff ever passed.
No, and that's because we have to put aside all this bickering and all that.
Can it be done?
It can be done, and it will be done. That's the reason I'm here, because I really believe it will be done.
You're hopeful.
Absolutely, I have to be.
In your line of work, you have to be.
You gotta be very
Nick
optimistic.
Suriel,
Thank
it
you,
is
sir.
great to see you again, my
Likewise.
friend. I always appreciate
Thank
the
you, John.
conversation. We're back in a moment on Newsmaker Saturday. Thanks, Nick.
You have to be optimistic.
Want to reach out? It's easy. John Hook Fox 10 on Facebook. Same thing, John Hook Fox 10 on Twitter. Hope to see you next week on Newsmaker Saturday.